All right, welcome back to Adobe Photoshop. And today we're going to review how to change your brush size as well as do something really cool. We're going to learn how to use flow and opacity in conjunction with our adjustment layer mask. Head on over here to Photoshop. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and get the brush. And look, this works for any of the tools, the adjustment brush, anything where you need to change its size or shape. There's three main ways to go ahead and change your brush size. The first is to go up here. You can come up here. So we have our size, our hardness, and we actually also have different types of brushes. In most cases, for what we're going to be doing, the soft round brush is really what you want to use. We'll go ahead and close that out, but there's millions of brushes that you can download and use, but for basic adjustment and toning, pretty much all you're going to use is the soft round brush. Now, you might change that brush and make it hard, but you're going to start off with that soft round brush. So we have this brush, and let's go ahead and hit the letter D, because that makes our default colors, black and white. And so the way this works is if I come to this blank area and I draw down, you can see where you've got a soft brush. So it's 100% in the middle and then it feathers out. If I change that brush size and make it hard when I come down, it's just a hard brush. And you can see a brush is actually just a bunch of circles that's being put down on the screen. So it's not perfectly straight. You can also draw a perfectly straight line by clicking once, holding shift, going to the end point, click again, and it will draw a perfectly straight line. Really great little trick. All right, so let's go ahead and get out of this. And we're going to go to the second way to control your brush size, and that is with the bracket keys next to the letter P. So if you use the left bracket key, it will make it smaller. If you use the right bracket key, it will make it larger. If you want to change the softness of your brush, if you hold shift and use the right bracket key a couple times, it's going to make a hard brush. If you hold the shift key and take the left bracket key and click it a couple times, you'll see it's now a soft brush. So I can control that softness in its pretty big jumps by either hitting the right key to make it harder, right key to make it harder again, right key to make it harder than that, or left key to make it soft. So you're using the same key, but just hitting the shift key. Now let's go ahead and get out of all this. And the last way is the quicker, and this is actually my favorite way because you can do it really quick. So you're going to, on a Mac, you're going to hold down the Option and the Control key. If you left click and hold and go to the left, it makes your brush smaller. If you go to the right, it makes your brush larger. If you go up, it makes it soft. Down, it makes it hard. So I'll go back up so you can see it getting soft, small, large. On a PC, you're going to right click. You're going to do the same movements by holding the right click down and going left, right, up, down. But there's a toggle key, and I just talked about it the other day, and can I remember it? Absolutely no, that's what happens when you get old. So I'll go ahead and post that up. You'll see a little pop-up that's going to have the toggle key, so you can do this on a PC as well. So this is going to come into play in this tutorial. So we've learned that white, so a screen like this, all white, it's going to completely show our adjustment. And if our screen is completely black, it's not going to show the adjustment. Well, you can also use gray. So we're going to come in here to the color picker, and I'll just pick about where 50% gray should be. We'll say that's 50% gray. It's not perfect, but that's okay. So if I paint 50% gray, that means 50% of the adjustment will be applied. So let's go on over to an image and take a look at how this works. All right, so we're in this photo, and what we're going to do, we're just going to switch this to black and white because it's going to be easier for you to see what I'm doing with these adjustments. I'm going to make a curves adjustment, and I'm going to be looking at this guy's face right here. So I'm going to brighten his face because his is the darkest so that it starts to get about where I want it. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so we'll say that's how bright we want his face to be. I'm going to hit Command I. That will invert the mask to make it black. And then I'm going to use the Control Option key and make this smaller. I want a soft brush. And then I'm going to make sure I have the color white over here that we see. So right there, we have the color white as our foreground color. And we're just going to apply it to his face. Now, if I do that to this woman right here, it's going to make her face way too bright. And if we come over here, it might make her face a little bit too bright, though she looks pretty good like that. So in the case where I might want to just brighten this girl's face a little bit, but not as much as I did this one. So what I could do in this case is I could come in here and I could pick, like I did before, say, hey, I don't want it to be totally white, but I want it to be that color. And I could hit OK. And then I could come in here and it would brighten her face. And if we take a look at this, you can see that's got a little bit of gray and that's pure white. So if we go back to this image, I lighten her face, but not as much as this because I used a shade of gray. But going in and doing that little color picker, yeah, that's kind of a pain in the neck. So what we can do instead is I'll hit the letter D to go back to default. This is our brush up here and I can change that opacity. And so I'm going to show you another cool little trick. So you can come up here to this slider and just slide this, but whenever you have a numerical input, you can come up to where it's 100%, and you notice we have that little add type icon. If I go out to the left, see how it switches to that hand? So we go out and it switches to the hand with the two arrows. When you get that, if you left click and hold PC or Mac and you go to the left, it's going to lower that number. If you go to the right, it's going to increase that number. So we can do that with flow. Any numerical input anywhere, it's going to work like that, okay? Instead of changing to gray, what I can do is I can just lower the opacity and then I could come to this person and I can brighten her up, but I'm only doing 64% of that adjustment. I'm not doing the full adjustment. And if I wanted to do this woman, but I wanted it to be really low because I just wanted to lighten her up a little bit, we can go down to 12. And then I can come over here and brighten her up just 12. And if we go in and we take a look at this, you can see how almost gray, dark gray that is. That's darker. This is bright and this is darker. We're controlling the opacity of these images. Now we're going to come back here because I think this is going to be helpful. We have two adjustments up here. We have opacity and we have flow, and they work differently, and there's a huge benefit to both. Opacity works like this. I'm going to make my brush hard so we can see this. So if I take opacity 100% and I've got the color black, I'm going to do 100% black. If I change my opacity down to 41%, it's going to do 41% black. But if I go back over it, nothing happens. So I'm holding down my left click and going back over, back over, back over. It's not getting darker. And then if I left click again and then go back over my image, it's going to darken it. And then if I want it to get darker, I need to let go of the left click, click again, go back over it, let go of the click, go back over it. And it's going to keep progressively getting darker. Now you wouldn't do this with a hard feather, but it's easier for me to show you. So opacity works like that. You can go back over and over and over and it never gets darker. So flow works like this. If I come in here and I go across, it's going to add just a little bit of gray. And then if I go back over it, I have my left click held down. And as each time I go over it, it's going to progressively build up until it gets darker, 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 darker. This is by far my favorite. It really lets you blend areas together. So you can kind of build up that mask over time. It's not as strong as this. You can raise your flow, of course. And if you raise your flow, it's going to get darker quicker. You can also lower your opacity a little bit. and lower your flow to about 10% so you can do a combination of both. So we can build up a little quicker than we did before, but not quite super fast. And that will allow us to kind of blend and build up areas. So let's go ahead and take a look at this image. Once again, let's go ahead and make this black and white. Hit the wrong one, black and white. We're going to come into curves. We're going to just bring up this area a little bit. And I'm going to hit Command I to invert it. And then I've got my brush right here. We've got the color white, which is the color that I want to put in here. And I've got my flow at 9%, and we'll just leave that at 73. And basically, I can come to people's faces, go over them a couple times. Okay, that's good. That's good. This one's going to have to be a little bit more, so we'll go over it quite a few times. Right, that looks pretty good. There. A bit more here, so we're going to go over it more. I don't want the top of her head, but we just want here. Looks good. And we've built it up. So if we come and look at this mask, you'll see I've got different shades of gray because I'm building up the opacities inside of the mask by using a combination of opacity flow into the mask. Yes, we learned that black hides and white reveals because it makes it really easy to learn, but you can get much more sophisticated in your toning by applying grays, by using opacity and flow into a mask to really refine it. And so what this does, it allows you to just make one adjustment instead of having to make an adjustment for each single person. So if all these people needed to be lightened a little bit differently, we could have to make 4 or 5 different masks and adjustments just to do them all. But you can make one large adjustment and apply it differently to everybody, and it's going to affect them differently. So that's how we use grays inside of a mask to make more intelligent adjustments. If you haven't heard, we have free actions that are available on the Shutterbug Academy website. All you need to do is go into the description below. There's a link. Go over there. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. There are some free Photoshop actions that you can download. I have a tutorial of how to use them all, and you can go ahead and grab those. On Facebook, we have a group called Shutterbug Academy, and it allows you to just go in, get some feedback on your images, post your images, ask questions if you're running into trouble. It allows you to post images and videos, which we can't do in the comments section. So sometimes that's a little bit difficult. And last of all, if you found these videos helpful and could subscribe to the channel, that would be last of all. Go ahead, give this a try and have an absolutely wonderful day.